Well, a very good evening and thank you for joining us. My name is Omondi and this is KUTV Primetime News. It is a Monday, the 24th day of January, the year 2022, just a day after the political earthquake that saw ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi together with the Ford Kenya leader, that is Moses Wetangula, former pact with the UDA party headed by the Deputy President Dr. William Ruto. Tonight we have a lot in store for you on what is happening in the country and of course beyond our borders. But first, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
Kenya and USA call for speedy resolution of the conflict between Ethiopia and the Tigrayan forces. Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka recalls members for a 3-day sitting to debate on the political parties amendment bill. Non-governmental and human rights organizations launch sensitization campaigns on peaceful elections in the country. Baringo residents baffled after naked bodies found dumped along Kabarnet Iten Road.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome to the broadcast. I'm not alone. I'm with the company of Moses Gitonga, who is a sign language interpreter tonight. We're also streaming live this broadcast on our Facebook and Twitter. That is at KUTV Kenya on Facebook and on Twitter KUTV_Kenya. Now, a man was shot dead and another suffered serious bullet wounds when Ramula Secondary School students stormed Ramula Police Post to protest of the death of their teacher. The body of the teacher, Calvin Omolo, was yesterday found on the floor of his house with a rope around his neck. According to residents who suspected a foul play, given that he was in a relationship with a girl that was also a girlfriend to one of the officers based at Ramula Police Post. Siaya County Police Commander Michael Mushiri said that a team of homicide detectives were handling the matter and promised that the public that should anyone be found to have had a hand in his death shall be dealt with squarely.
Sasa ile wakati nilienda kwa jirani nikakutana naye akibeba chuma. Alikuwa amebeba chuma hii ya chuma line. Alikuwa anaenda kazi na kazini yangu mwingine. Sasa tulikuwa madakika kama 30 minutes nilikuwa na madha yangu tulikuwa tunakunywa chai. Ilifani rudi Nairobi madha yangu naye aende Kisumu. Tunapigiwa simu atuo kazini wangu amepigwa risasi. Ndio tukatoka moja kwa moja tukakuja Ramula tukampata yenyewe amelala hapa amepigwa risasi. Na kuna mwingine walikuwa wawili, mwingine risasi lishika huku lakini mimi sikumuona, niliona tu ndugu wangu akipigwa risasi.
Allegations are because he said the teacher was found lying down in his house with a rope on the neck. And if this teacher would have decided to kill himself, maybe would have been found hanging with that rope, but the teacher was found lying down with a rope. So whether it is stage managed, we can't say that, but we leave it for the police to do the investigation.
Lazima kuwe na tofauti ya kuuawa na kujiua, na kuna facts fulani ambazo huwa zinatuonyesha kwamba hii kweli ni suicide, yani kujiua, ama ni kuuawa ameuawa. So tusiseme tu hapana.
We hope that investigations shall yield fruits and the perpetrators be dealt with, and now, moving on, Kenya and the United States of America agreed to continue engaging the conflicting parties in Ethiopia and with an aim of seeing a speedy resolution to the conflict in the Horn of Africa country. At a meeting at the meeting at the State House in Nairobi on Monday, President Uhuru Kenyatta and the U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Ambassador Satterfield, emphasized that peace in Ethiopia is crucial for the region's stability. The meeting, that was also attended by the head of public service, Dr. Joseph Kinyua, and Foreign Affairs CS Rachel Omamo, among other senior government officials. Away from that, Senator Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has recalled senators for a special House sitting slated for the January 25th to 27, 2022 to deliberate on the Political Parties Act Amendment Bill. Following a request from Majority Leader Samuel Pogisho, Lusaka issued a Gazette notice advising all senators to attend the meeting. The morning and the afternoon sessions of the meeting will take place at the Senate Parliament buildings at 10 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. respectively. Heritage and Museums County Governments Amendment Bill, Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill, and County Oversight and Accountability Bill are among the other bills to be considered. In accordance with the Senate's calendar, the Senate will adjourn until February 8 at 2:30 p.m. To matters politics, after pledging to work with ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi yesterday, Deputy President Dr. William Ruto today called a United Democratic Alliance UDA party parliamentary group meeting. The meeting that comes a day before the Senate session on political parties bill was attended by other leaders allied to the UDA party.
A day after he was introduced as the long-awaited earthquake promised by the ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, Deputy President today led a UDA parliamentary group meeting at his official residence in Karen.
And we plead that you continue.
The UDA PG meeting has taken place just a day to the next Senate session that will see lawmakers discussing on the political parties bill, which has been opposed by the Deputy President and his UDA allies.
The PG resolved to resist any further attempts to burden the people of Kenya with the unaccountable debt. Party members have therefore resolved to oppose the proposals in the finance bill to tax people of this country any further.
However, in a UDA press briefing read by Kandara Member of Parliament Alice Wahome, UDA lawmakers discussed specific issues, including bills in the parliament.
As a first step, the UDA parliamentary group has also resolved to amend the budget policy statement in order to increase the allocation to the counties to near 35%.
As made clear by Garissa Member of Parliament Aden Duale, UDA, ANC and Ford Kenya MPs will now cooperate in the Senate and the National Assembly as they seek to pass their preferred bills.
We have agreed that on all programs, and even in Parliament, on all programs of joint rallies, and that our leadership in the National Assembly and in the Senate will have a further consultation with the leadership of ANC and Ford Kenya, so that at the legislature we form a common ground.
Mkutano huu tumekubaliana kuhusu ile miswada na mijadala na sheria ambazo zinakuja katika bunge, kwamba sisi kama UDA tutasimama kidete na watu wetu na wabunge wetu watakuwa bunge kujadili.
Deputy President noted that there was a plan by the ANC, Ford Kenya and United Democratic Alliance Party to respond in unison to the bills that are in the parliament. DP Ruto defended his cooperation with the ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, saying that the unity was aimed at uniting the country and eradicating patrial politics. George Mapesa, KUTV.
Thank you so much, Judge Mapesa, for that report. Political earthquake, indeed. It was expected to shape the country's political scene ahead of the August polls. Still on matters politics, ODM party leader Raila Odinga made a pledge to single mothers in Murang'a County, promising to stay true to his Baba name tag by focusing on issues affecting the group along with the children neglected by their fathers. Raila made the sentiments in the meeting in the county that brought together various leaders supporting the Azimio la Umoja movement.
Sasa hao wamama wanapata shida na watoto yao wanapata shida zaidi. Kwa hiyo tunasema ni special category na watapata msaada kutoka kwa serikali. Walimu.
Now, over 20 human rights and community service agencies have launched an election preparation campaign in the country. The sensitization programs are aimed at educating citizens about the need for peace before, during, and after the general elections scheduled for August this year.
The countrywide campaign dubbed Angaza Movement, with a caravan consisting of comedians, MCs and human rights activists, pitched numerous sites around Malindi today, encouraging people to register as voters and refrain from engaging in any illegal activities amidst the electioneering period.
Sisi tunataka kuhamasisha umma kuhusiana na mambo ya kuchagua hawa viongozi wetu ambao watakuwa katika kinyang'anyiro kile cha 2022, na pia vile vile tunahamasisha watu wetu kuhusiana na pia kila mtu achukue jukumu lake la kuhakikisha kwamba wamekata kura, wamehamasisha wengine kukata kura na kuendelea kudumisha amani katika Kilifi County.
Speaking in Malindi, Moses Goi from the Kenya Human Rights Commission, who was among those leading the campaigns, said that the Angaza movement brought together 20 NGOs and community-based organizations to ensure they help address challenges that occur during the electioneering period.
Tutajaribu kuhusiana na zile idara ambazo zinahusiana na processes za election kama EBC, IPOA na Kenya National Human Rights Commission, kuhakikisha kwamba haki za binadamu zinaangaziwa wakati huu wa kura, na pia zile processes za election zinaenda kwa njia ambayo inafaa.
The Angaza movement stakeholders stated that they want everyone in Kilifi County to preach peace and guarantee that there is no bloodshed, abstinence from violence, and making sensible choices for political leaders who will take over leadership after the election, adding that they will monitor the leaders' performance even after the elections.
Na tunaangazia mambo ya electoral processes, fairness, accountability, all those tunaziangalia kwa undani, na pia tutakuwa tunaangalia kwa makini na kina zile injustices ambazo zitakuwa zinatokea kwa kipindi hichi cha uchaguzi, kipindi hichi, the pre and post, and also during the election.
The Angaza movement, whose partners include Semanami Mama, Kilifi Citizen Forum, Muhuri and Kilifi CEO's Human Rights Network, among others, which began in Western Kenya, is now spreading to the coastal area with the aim of educating communities about the need for registering as voters, will climax on Tuesday in Tononoka Grounds, Mombasa. Daphne Orina for KUTV.
Thank you so much, Daphne Reina, for that message of peace. And as I've always told you before, ahead of polls, let us all love one another, maintain peace and harmony among all the citizens. It is a good gesture seeing that the citizens of the nation stood firm, even though there was a political earthquake in the country yesterday at the Bomas of Kenya. Jubilee Party has not yet met. The NDC has not converged for another meeting. Probably there will be a tsunami or something of that sort, urging the citizen to stay firm, love one another, let us embrace peace ahead of polls. Now, the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, has today retaliated to the remarks Honorable Mudavadi made on the labor union during his National Delegates Conference held at the Bomas of Kenya, where the delegates endorsed his presidential bid. Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi faulted the labor movement leadership, saying the movement was being led by persons he described as clowns. Movement Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, has hit out at ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi for highly criticizing the union's leadership. In his address at the Bomas of Kenya, the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi said that the union will be transformed under his leadership and gain its respectability. COTU's Deputy Secretary General Benson Okwaro, however, responded, stating that he cannot change the leadership of the labor union as it is a global movement and not a government entity.
He promised Kenyans that when he becomes the president of this country, he will be in a position to deal with the labor movement. I don't know what he intends to do, but let him be told that the trade union movement is not a department of the Kenyan government. It's not a parastatal. and is not going to be a government ministry that he can control the way he likes.
The union firmly stated that Mudavadi has no moral authority to question the leadership of the workers' union, saying he betrayed the welfare of the workers by introducing the redundancy clause into the Finance Bill of 1994 that allows employers to declare workers redundant without consultations.
As Minister for Finance, he sneaked a bill into the Finance Bill, suggesting that workers can be dismissed without consulting trade unions. The employers were free to do that. And that particular bill is still in place to date.
Mudavadi's sentiments were met by criticism from the union leaders, saying that he has lost trust with the Kenyans, despite him calling out other leaders as untrustworthy.
But when now we think that he's not an able leader to lead this country to the next generation, then he thinks that the labor movement is not in existence. Shame on him. I think he has shown Kenyans that as much as he's telling Kenyans that they are fellows who cannot be trusted, I don't think there's anybody who can trust Mudavadi anymore.
The long-awaited political earthquake has stirred up waters in the political scenes of Kenya, with ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi's remarks on the labor union dealing a blow to him, with the union digging the crates to highlight his track record as a finance minister. On my chronometer, it's 16 minutes past the top of the hour. It's time we take a first break here on KUTV Primetime News. In a moment, shall be coming back with the discussion of the night, the political earthquake that has jolted the political scenes of Kenya. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
And had a child. They decided to move back home and make things official. Now, here is the bombshell. They found out that they were related. Wow. With Orbital Global, you can save yourself the embarrassment.
How well do you know your family lineage? Your cousins, uncles, aunties, nephews, nieces? Orbital is here for you. Visit www.orbitalglobal.com. Orbital Global, connecting families, uniting nations.
Kenyatta University Career Week 2022 is on. On Saturday, 22nd January, the ever-entertaining, educative and energizing high school fair will be taking place at the university's graduation square from 9 a.m. This free event is open to all high school students. Join us and learn more about the academic programs and interact with different faculties. For the first time in our calendar, there will be live set book performances and academic workshops for students as they prepare to sit for their final examinations. This integral activity to take place at the University Amphitheatre on Friday 28th and Saturday 29th. Book with us now. Public lectures on topical issues will be taking place between Monday and Wednesday, with corporate exhibitions scheduled for Friday, 28th January. The official opening ceremony will take place on Thursday, 27th January at the Graduation Square from 1 p.m. This year's theme is dubbed Dynamic World, Creativity, Innovation, and Technology as the main skills for the future of work. Be part of us as we mark the 2022 Career Week Fair in the midst of the pandemic. All are welcome.
Reggae mtaani na mashinani, it's all about good reggae music. You tune in to KUTV. Everything set, link and connect. You know how we do it, good vibration, good music, alongside.
Let's recall some great men.
Call me the messenger, aka the lyrical DJ, Sweet K. I'm gonna bring you the message straight from the artist to your comfort zone. Always stay tuned to KUTV Reggae Iration.
Imagine living in a society that embraces social justice and equal opportunities for all. On Woman Crush Wednesday, Rise Today, we bring you experts for meaningful conversations on matters gender equality.
Mimi nasaona hakuna gender equality as we speak.
So we continuously work with the men.
I feel that they're judging the girl.
Parenthood.
Mind is very important in infertility.
Mental and physical health.
You need to be surrounded by a proper network.
After nimeanza healing process, nilikumbuka kuhusu boys na wase wenye niliacha ghetto. Like kila wakati nilikuwa najaribu kutafuta mbinu yenye naweza wafikishie ujumbe.
I feel like if you have 15 minutes, if you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time, use it, because any physical activity is beneficial. No physical activity is dangerous for you.
And we touch on current affairs.
Marrying is a journey. It means you're taking a journey together.
I'm dying to be different.
Changamoto ziko, but you can't sit there saying, oh, mimi nitafanya mziki siku yenye dozi takam.
You look at this person and you're like, wow, they just woke up and they found themselves here.
Join us every Wednesday morning at 7 to 10 a.m. here on Rise Today Woman Crush Wednesday. I am your host, Nina Gikunda.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, you're streaming this live on our social media platforms on Facebook on KUTV Kenya and on Twitter KUTV_Kenya. You can tell us on the comment section what you think about the bulletin. Now, leaders in Laikipia County and the neighboring counties have been told to stop inciting communities in the wake of banditry attacks. The leaders have been urged to cease inciting communities to cause violence even as we are headed to the next general elections. Our reporter, Omondi, has more.
Over the past few months and weeks, cases of insecurity have been reported to be on the rise in the Olmoran area of Laikipia County. Laikipia leaders have pleaded with political leaders that are allegedly inciting communities to desist, with the general polls inching ever closer. This is even as the authorities remain on high alert to ensure that normalcy returns in the volatile Olmoran and Githiga areas.
Wanasiasa wenye watakuwa wakikuja waombe kura wakiwa Wakenya na wakuje wakiomba kura kwa Wakenya. Hatutaki kusikia ati wewe ni ya hii, wewe ni ya hii, wakuje na msimamo moja. Juu kila mtu sasa amekuwa mwelefu, anajua kiongozi lakini sio chama. Kwa hiyo wito wangu ni hiyo kwa wenye siasa wasikuje kutupiganisha.
Residents led by the Laikipia Peace Ambassador Simon Wangombe and a host of elders from Pokot, Kikuyu, Samburu, Turkana and Kalenjin communities have reiterated the need for communities to minimize cases of conflicts.
Kwa nini tunakubali kukuwa influenced? Watu wachache wanakuja wanakulipa na hiyo pesa hata utakula siku 3. Unaua ndugu yako.
Tumeumia. Wewe unaenda unaweka kauchochezi kidogo na mwanasiasa wako. Unaenda unalisha shamba yake. Angalia saa hii venye kuna kiangazi. Hata hujakula kitu. Umekula kitu na unaumia.
It has been pointed out that conflict over boundaries and resources are the main causes of hostility in the area, which on many occasions have led to disruption of learning activities with the temporary closure of learning institutions. Omondi, KUTV, Nairobi.
Well, now to the discussion of the night. The political earthquake The ANC National Delegates Conference held at the Bomas of Kenya has truly caused earthquake in the political scenes of Kenya ahead of polls. Musalia Mudavadi openly announced that the other presidential rivals were not invited to the meeting, but the walking in of DP Ruto meant a walkout to the other OKA principles. That raises questions on the fate of the OKA and the possible pact between ANC and UDA. In scrutiny and deep analysis of these events, we are joined by Solomon Musyoki, who is a political pundit, to help us understand these events. Now, Musyoki.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Now, diving deep into the discussion of the night, the move by Musalia Mudavadi when at the NDC meeting of the ANC, he announced the delegates endorsed his presidential bid. What do you foresee of his presidency? Is it something that is valid, that will see him race for the presidential seat to the end?
I want to start by the comments that were made by the Sec-Gen of ANC. He actually said the delegates did two things. One, they endorsed Musalia Mudavadi to be the presidential candidate for the party.
Right.
But there's a second section that most of us didn't catch that well. He said they also gave him power to enter into a pact, a coalition, or an agreement with other parties.
Mm-hmm.
So when that discussion is there, so that means that Musalia Mudavadi can either reach the ballot as the president,
right,
with other parties supporting his presidential bid, or he can shelve his ambition, work with another presidential candidate as his deputy or as his close ally. So from that meeting, we can say that the options are open. He can either go to the ballots, or he can work with another team, where he started by working with Ford Kenya and UDA. From that time, we could see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the storming out by the other OKA core principles, that is, we saw Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka together with Gideon Moi storm out of the meeting. Now, what does this insinuate? Because the moment they learned of the UDA leader, that is DP Ruto, coming in, they walked out of the meeting. What does this insinuate? Were they probably in a hidden, this information hidden from them? Because it seems that they didn't know the DP was coming, because Mudavadi stated earlier that other rivals were not invited to this event. But then we saw the deputy president coming in. What does this insinuate about Mudavadi together with other OKA principles?
First, I want to put across that we need to look at this. All the OKA principles have had their own national delegates conferences, and in each of them, they have called their friends. When we look at Wiper's NDC, he called Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. When you look at KANU's ANC, they welcomed Raila Amolo Odinga as a friend. Right. So I think there is no basis of coming to judge Mudavadi for calling his friend Honorable William Ruto. So, but
categorically, the Mudavadi was so clear that other presidents or other rivals, even though they are friends, they are not invited to this, meeting. But we saw, the UDA leader, that is the deputy president, walking in, which meant the other people walking out. Probably was it something deceitful, because probably the other principals were not expecting him to be there.
One thing we have to accept is that almost everyone expected such a thing. Most of the Kenyans, it was something they expected, and they actually thought, because Mudavadi has had a soft spot for Honorable William Ruto for a number of months. Right. He started changing his tone after they started the OKA, they started falling apart slowly by slowly, and he changed his tone towards William Ruto. And secondly, you could easily tell because of the kind of invitations that were there. In the moment that you see a close ally of DP, like Governor, the Kirinyaga governor, when you see such people, when you see people like Nini Nyoro, when you see such UDA allied MPs and governors and senators, you don't even need to be told that His Excellency Ruto is there. Right. So as a former president, as a former deputy president, and as a senior senator, I'm sure they knew. But why were they there? They were there to actually water down the show.
Right.
Because the real earthquake was bringing Ruto in, and they knew he was coming in. But for it to water down, they had to walk out so that we have two stories to go to talk about.
Right.
It's actually working because right now we are here talking about Oka instead of talking about the earthquake.
So was the whole thing, the political earthquake, was it an orchestrated play? Because you're saying very well that they knew very well that the Deputy President William Ruto would be in the meeting. Was it an orchestrated play?
Yeah, it was. There were two plays. One, there was a play by Mudavadi to bring the UDA camp to tell the world that I'm going to be I'm going to vote for presidency, but I'm going to work with close allies such as UDA, and I'm not going to work with people like Azimio.
Right.
That was Mudavadi's earthquake. Now it left their other principals with no much option. So they were either to stop coming to the meeting or to come and storm out.
Right.
And if they didn't come to the meeting, then His Excellency Ruto would have taken the show. We would have talking about Ruto and his triumph entrance. But they didn't want that. They wanted to steal some show. So what did they do? They had to come and they pretend like they don't know and walk out so that we keep talking about them. We keep discussing about Oka plus Ruto instead of the triumph entry of Ruto and Mudavadi.
Right.
So I actually think it is a political strategy they employed, and to some extent it has worked.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, probably just to travel back in time, trying to look at the Wiper NDC, Musalia Mudavadi did not attend this meeting, and we could also see the crucial OKA meeting that was called in Naivasha. Musalia Mudavadi did not attend this meeting as well. Now, what does this speak of him? Was it that he already knew that he was walking out of OKA, and probably that raises the question again, the fate of OKA. What do you foresee? Is it something that is still alive, or OKA is already dead together? According to the earthquake that was witnessed yesterday?
First of all, I think what Mudavadi did is what His Excellency Kalonzo did yesterday. He didn't want to go, which is an option that Kalonzo had yesterday of not going to the meeting because Ruto is coming.
Right.
So I think it is quite fair that His Excellency Kalonzo welcomed His Excellency Raila, and we know for a long time now Mudavadi has been a close friend to DP Ruto. So with him going there, it would have shaken the friendship they had with DP Ruto, and probably wouldn't see that working they're having right now. So he was trying to protect the friendship that he had. So it was nothing about Wiper. It was about Wiper welcoming His Excellency Raila, who was an enemy to his very close friend, His Excellency Ruto.
But then, talking about friendship, we know for a very long time, Mudavadi has been a good friend to Raila Odinga. They've also rallied together in the presidential race.
Yeah.
Why do you think this could be the main reason why he didn't attend the NDC meeting by his co-principal, Kalonzo Musyoka?
Mudavadi said one thing. He actually said in his NDC that there are people he's sure he's not going to work with the Azimio people, because they have been lying to people. They've been lying to him. We've seen that all those years, His Excellency Raila will say, support me this time, I support you next time, support me this time, I support you next time. From 2007,
right,
when Musalia was his deputy, they came to CORD, they came to NASA. All those times, he's saying you've been lying to us. Look at who was really making a lot of noise after His Excellency Raila walked out on his people and went to do the handshake.
Right.
After they've talked about a lot, if you could go with the whole team, then we'll see that they had worked together. There was no treachery. But the fact that he went behind their back to put that handshake, we could see that Mudavadi was very bitter at him.
But talking about when you're saying that he went behind their back, it's not something that Raila Odinga began on his own, because we saw very well when Raila was being inaugurated as the people's president, the other principals were missing. Mudavadi did not attend the meeting. So because this is where everything, the NASA coalition started to crumble, because the other members of NASA did not attend the swearing in of the people's president. How are they expecting to be, for them to be also included in the handshake? It was probably a fruit that, they deserved.
But that's one way of looking at it. But all those things created mistrust.
Right.
That is actually the baseline that we're talking about. And Musalia said, I can no longer trust my former associate, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, and I have this new friend that I really trust.
Right.
So it is actually about that. And two, about is Oka viable or is Oka dead? Oka is actually dead right now.
Right.
Because when you looked at yesterday, you saw that Musalia said he wants to work closely with UDA. And the same thing we saw with Ford Kenya. The Jibebe principal, former Governor Kabogo, said that wherever Musalia goes, I go. So that's also, those are three principles outside. When you look at today, the Kanu Oka spokesman actually took a statement to the media houses and said that it is not actually time. We now look for other friends. We now go to higher places.
Higher places.
So
but where do you foresee these higher places? Because Freddy Kokongo, the OKA spokesperson, when he was saying that it's time they look for higher places. If the higher places could have been in UDA, they would have announced it clearly yesterday. Yeah. But now, what do you foresee? Are they going to probably also join the UDA pact, or they are going to consider probably they are the rival, the Azimio la Umoja?
For one, someone like Gideon Moi, it is so obvious. Gideon Moi cannot join His Excellency William Ruto, so he'll definitely go to the other side. For Kalonzo, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, he's shown beyond doubt that he's for the Azimio. But we've known him for very many years. He's one person who's very unpredictable. I don't want to use the political name he's called, but we both know that he was definitely not predictable in 2007 when the political temperatures are so high. The political temperatures are even higher this time around. Right. So, in as much as I want to say he will go to Azimio, I'm not sure. I can't be 100% because no one 4 months down the line, 4 months back, we couldn't tell one day Mudavadi will come and shake hands with Ruto. Actually, that was not foreseen some months ago. So we don't know. There's still time. It's still January. We have 7 months down the line. We don't know, because when you look at even his what do I call it? His mantra of Wiper, he said kazi bila wizi. And you look when you look at His Excellency William Ruto, he said kazi ni kazi. Right. When you look at Mudavadi, he says pesa mfukoni, uchumi bora pesa mfukoni. So when you look at all these people, in some extent the ideas resonate. That's why I'm actually putting some percentage of trust that probably they can, because I think the ideology resonates. Yeah.
But when you talk about having similarity in their ideologies, we've also seen of course, because we are facing tough economical times, and what really resonates well with most Kenyans is someone who will empower them financially, empower them economically. Yeah. So probably, that cuts across all edges, because you see when even the ODM, Azimio la Umoja, when they're campaigning, they're talking about the third liberation, that is the economic liberation. And then we're also seeing on this other side, the OKA, we just say the ANC in their pact with the UDA, you're saying, they want to empower people, having pesa mfukoni and stuff. It's a common slang that is cutting across all edges. But then, what I would really want to know, ANC party leader together with Ford Kenya party leader coming into the UDA pact, is it going to create a big impact politically on the UDA camp?
It is actually going to create a big impact. Why? Because look at these people. For one, His Excellency Mudavadi has been the Western flag bearer for years. In 2007, he was the flag bearer. In 2013, he was the flag bearer. In 2017, he's the flag bearer. And definitely in 2022, I don't see any other flag bearer who is better than him. So actually, there's a lot he's bringing on board. And two, this is a pact. He has his numbers. UDA has his numbers. And when they come together, they'll be stronger. You see, Ford Kenya, they also have their numbers. Right. So I think it is a plus to both the sides.
Maybe to cut you short, when you're talking about numbers, let us look at when we're trying to look at the numbers in the houses. Talking about Ford Kenya, the only Senate for Ford Kenya is Moses Wetangula.
Yeah.
And they have very few numbers, of course, when you talk about ANC in the Senate and also in the Parliament, of course, the Parliament. Now, what do you see? Because we see from the rally that we had, the Bukungu 2 rally, when Francis Atwoli, together with other leaders from the Western region, endorsed Azimio la Umoja, that is ODM leader Raila Odinga. Do you think he has the good numbers that will probably, in the UDA pact, make him demand for a better position in this pact?
Are we talking about Mudavadi or
no?
Or
We're talking about Mudavadi we're talking about ANC in the new pact, in the UDA pact, because we saw clearly on the Bukungu 2 rally how everything was done, the numbers that were there, and most of the leaders, they endorsed Azimio la Umoja, that is ODM leader Raila Odinga. Does he have the numbers from the region that would make him demand for a better seat in this UDA pact?
I believe Mudavadi is one of the strong leaders we have as Kenya, national leaders, leave alone even the region. And what he needs, he just needs to go to the ground. If he goes to the ground, people will accept him. Because look at the other Western leaders who actually has a track record. Who has the scorecards of leadership. If not His Excellency Mudavadi. So what people are saying, those are just it is still early. If he goes into a serious campaign trail in the Western people, I'm sure the Western people will buy into his ideologies. Yeah.
Now, maybe because of time, DP Ruto announced that they shall be doing joint rallies together with the ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi. And, we are seeing, what do you see? Are they working together, in this presidency? And, that raises the questions of how tough Musalia Mudavadi was saying that he must be in the presidential rally together with other OKA leaders, saying you can see there the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka also stood firm that he must be on the presidential rally. Are they going to work together as a pact and probably disintegrate later on after they have gained the numbers? And probably if they are to work together, so who do you think is going to play the second fiddle for the other if they have to work together, that is?
One is that to think about His Excellency William Ruto being a deputy of any presidential aspirant is actually illogical. That is a fact. It is also the same way of thinking His Excellency Raila will be a deputy of any person. That one is something that is out of question. But two, His Excellency Mudavadi is actually can be a good deputy. Can be a good deputy. As I've said, he's someone who has shown leadership. But two, His Excellency William Ruto has to court the Mount Kenya. So he also has to come with strategies on how can he include Mount Kenya. Then if he wants to deputize he wants Mudavadi to be his deputy, then he has to think, what will he do with these people of Mount Kenya? We saw Mount Kenya people are not that happy. We saw today Isaac Moura saying that the seat of the deputy must come from Mount Kenya.
Must come from again. In fact, that's the most interesting bit of it. What do you think? Because Mount Kenya region, from the leaders from Mount Kenya, when they stand their ground so firm that they must be given the seat of the deputy president, and then here we have Musalia Mudavadi who also joining this pact and is probably anticipating to have a good seat in this UDA pact. Don't you think this will probably bring again disintegration when it comes to the party primaries, when now they are deciding this is going to be my running mate and this is going to probably have another position in the party? Don't you think this is going to bring this integration in the UDA and the ANC pact?
I think these are things that they have discussed behind the closed doors. But one thing, the position of the deputy is a position that is going to be looked at very carefully. We saw that I think it was early this year or when we were finishing December when the deputy president was having an interview about, he was talking about his deputy and he said he's going to reveal him on April and after a lot of scrutiny. So I think it is still early to tell, but they have to choose a deputy who will bring numbers.
Right.
Whether from the Western, whether from the Mount Kenya, they'll have, to do the give and take and see who's a better deputy.
Right.
We see in Mount Kenya, we have people like Rigathi Gachagua, we have people like Martha Karua, who actually, unfortunately, didn't attend the NDC, which says probably they had a bad feeling about the son.
Martha Karua, we know where she lies, of course. We know where Martha Karua stands.
Okay, yeah, Martha Karua can also, deputize the other side. So it's actually a very interesting topic because we must also look who will deputize His Excellency Raila, because he can find a deputy from Mount Kenya, and it can bring a lot of. So it is quite dynamic, but with time we are going to tell.
Right. So thank you so much, Solomon Musyoki, for that information. We're trying to analyze these political scenes until we head to the Polls Day, that is the 9th of August, the year 2022. We hope to have these discussions again and again until we understand well how the political scenes is organized. Right. Now, with that, we're taking another very short break here on KUTV Primetime News. We still have much for you, so keep it right here. See you on the other side.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020 359 9054.
Kenya kuna aina tofauti za hali ya anga ambazo huboresha au kuwa changamoto kwa wakazi wa eneo. Kaunti ya Makueni imeibuka kuwa bora katika masuala ya kilimo licha ya hali ya kiangazi.
Maembe huwa tunazalisha nyingi, lakini mtambo kuna ile capacity ambapo hawezi pitisha na hatuwezi chukua maembe yote. In fact, tunakuta tunachukua 5-6%.
Kaunti hii imejikakamua kwa udi na uvumba kutegua kitendawili. Ukambani kuna ukame.
Tambo maji ilikuwa ngumu kupata kiasi, kwa sababu kama ni pale kwa mto inapita tu inaenda. Lakini sasa hii kama imesimamishwa itakuwa rahisi kwetu.
Basi kikosi cha Boresha Kilimo kilitangamana na wakulima mbalimbali kuandaa Makueni County Edition.
Na wahimiza wana Makueni na Wakenya wote kwa jumla kuitazama kipindi cha Boresha Kilimo kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 6:30.
Welcome to the empire, Far East, because we find true love, and you will see what your love has done for me.
Siku hiyo yenye furaha ajabu, machungu yote yatakwisha, mambo yote yatakuwa ni mapya. Tukutane paradiso, tukutane enzini mbinguni, baada ya dhiki za hapa ulimwenguni tukutane.
Safina inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Hivi sasa ni saa 2 Ijumaa usiku badala ya saa 3 kamili juu ya alama, due to public demand. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
Natamani kufika pale, mji mzuri ajabu wapendeza, hakuna mfano wa
mazuri yajayo, jitahidi ufike mbinguni juu. Siku yaja tutasahau yale yote yanayotuhuzunisha. Tumeahidiwa na Mungu.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. Let's carry on with the bulletin. Now, Kenya has today received 1.36 million doses of Pfizer vaccines from the United States government. The cachet was received at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport at 1:45 p.m. by health officials led by the chair of COVID-19 National Task Force, Dr. Willis Akwale. On the statistics of the disease in the country, 170 people have tested positive for coronavirus from a sample size of 3,659 tested in the last 24 hours, pushing the total confirmed positive cases to 320,399. The positivity rate is now at 4.7%. 556 patients have, however, recovered from the disease, with the total recovery is now at 291,917. Unfortunately, 4 patients have succumbed, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting facility records audits in the month of January. This pushes the cumulative fatalities to 5,558. Now, just a few days after more than 20 bodies were retrieved from River Yala in Gamsia County, 2 unidentified naked bodies have been found dumped at the SS corner along Kabarnet-Iten Road. The matter has totally perplexed the residents, who are now calling on the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to probe investigations into the heinous act.
Locals in Kabarnet, Baringo County have been left in shock after 2 unidentified decomposing bodies were found dumped at the SS corner along Kabarnet-Iten Road. The bodies were found naked and had deep cuts, an indication of torture before being killed, with another body also found at Kolol near Iten.
Siku ya leo jioni kidogo, kitu kama saa 1 hivi, kuna watu walituambia kwamba kuna mili ya watu wawili wamepatikana, wamewekwa kwa barabara. Barabara is about kilomita karibu 3 hivi kutoka Kabarnet town.
Baringo Assembly Speaker David Kerich has condemned the incident, saying the people could have been killed elsewhere and the bodies dumped in Baringo as no one could physically identify them.
It is very unfortunate. 2 bodies of 2 adult men. One is completely naked. The other one is half naked, and it appears like the body is getting to the level of decomposition.
With extrajudicial cases being on the rise, Nancy Kiptun, Baringo human rights defender, says the bodies found could have been abducted before being tortured and killed.
So naomba serikali asa kitengo ya polisi upelelezi waweze kupeleleza kabisa, waweze kujua kwamba wajue kwanza hii miili ni ya kina nani.
Kama kuna roadblock kwa barabara, mwili hawezi kuja kutupwa hapa. Kama kuna roadblock Abirabita ama Nakuru ama Eldoret and Tambaj, hii mwili ilifikaje hapa Baringo?
Expressing fear that Baringo County might become another River Yala, where more than 20 bodies were retrieved, residents want DCI to probe investigations into the incident. Jen Cherutich, KUTV.
Now, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, KPLC, is on the spotlight after a 14-year-old girl was electrocuted by cables from fallen poles that the company was allegedly informed about 3 weeks ago. The victim, who is a Class 8 pupil at Elengata Nderit area in Narok, was rescued and rushed to Narok Referral Hospital after being electrocuted on her way home from school. Our reporter Julio Ngaki has the details.
A 14-year-old girl is fighting for her life at the Narok Referral County Hospital after she was electrocuted while walking home from school at Elengatan-Derit area in Narok County. Following the incident, the residents marched the Kenya Power Company offices in Narok Town, where they held a protest asking the power company to take responsibility for the injuries.
Kuchomeka kwa huyo mtoto huyo msichana ilichomeka almost 78% mwili yake, ya kwamba huyo mtoto mahali amewekwa katika hiyo hospitali hajapata specialist ambaye anaweza shughulikia hiyo mtoto apone. Tunahofia kwamba huyo mtoto asipofanyiwa transfer apelekwa hospitali mzuri, kuna high possibility huyo mtoto tuanze kumpoteza.
Area Chief Patrick Moipei said the girl was electrocuted on Thursday last week, noting that they had reported the incident of the fallen post that transmit power 3 weeks ago, but the power company did not respond until the incident occurred.
Ambaye ni candidate amepigwa na stima ya Kenya Power siku ya Alhamisi, na tangia siku hiyo hajaipata matibabu kamilifu.
Patrick Hiapi, a teacher of the victim, called for professional treatment, saying that the girl is expected to sit for her national examinations in March this year.
Kwa sababu mtoto aliungua kuchomeka kabisa, na stima imekaa wiki 3 ikiwa live na yuko kwa mstutu.
Cases of electrocution are on the rise, with the country reporting nearly 345 cases in 3 years, owing to poor wiring and vandalism. Julie Ongaki, KUTV.
Now, Kenya Power Company and the National Government Administration have intensified a crackdown on vandalism and the theft of electricity transformers in the South Nyanza region. A sting operation conducted at Kioge and Nyakoi in Kitutu Churches sub-county saw 2 suspects arrested, as others fled and are being sought by the security agencies.
Operations to stem vandalism of electricity infrastructure have peaked in the country after a series of towers were left in deplorable conditions by vandals. With the aid of alarm from members of the public, such a crackdown that sought to unearth market for transformer oil and copper wires was underway in South Nyanza at Kioge and Nyakoe in Kitutu Churches South sub-county.
We have had a spate of transformer vandalism of late in the region, where in the month of December we lost 14 transformers, each valued at around 500,000 Kenya shillings.
Energy Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma has lamented over the distractions that have seen the Kenya Power Company incur 7 million shillings losses to replace 14 of them in December last year.
Nobody is above the law, and I'm sure you can attest to that. So I think the issue is to ask for due process to establish what the situation is.
South Nyanza Regional Manager Dan Obiero warned that the penalties for the illegal activity were high and cautioned residents not to attempt it. He further decried illegal electricity connections, terming them a major cause of public electrocutions, and advised the residents wishing to be supplied with power to follow established procedures.
The penalty is very harsh, so the public should be aware that once you are caught, they will face the full force of the law.
This came as senior managers of the company faced charges on economic sabotage in court for alleged negligence leading to a national power blackout after high voltage grid lines tumbled in Kiambere. For KUTV Business News Desk, I'm Jane Cherutich.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. FKF Caretaker Committee has today hired former Vihiga Queens tactician Alex Alumira as the new head coach of the national women's football team Harambee Starlets. Alumira, who left Vihiga Queens in August last year to join Tiger Queens in Tanzania, was unveiled today afternoon at the Nyayo National Stadium, replacing Charles Okere. The unveiling comes after successful interviews that were held last week, where the 5 candidates battled for the job. Almira beat on outgoing Starlets head coach Charles Okere, who was aiming to retain his job. South Sudan assistant coach Florence Adhiambo, Tusker assistant coach George Maina, and the former Starlets assistant coach Jacqueline Juma. On Greek fourth seed Stefanos Tsitsipas battled to a thrilling 5-set victory over American Taylor Fritz to reach the Australian Open quarterfinals. The 23-year-old That's all we had for you tonight on KUTV Primetime News. Many thanks indeed for your valid company throughout the bulletin. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Moses Gitonga. My good name is Omondi Otieno. Now, tonight I want to leave you with the words of Denzel Washington saying that be careful what you ask for, because when you pray for the rain, you have to deal with the mud that comes with it. And with that, I wish you a very good night. We shall be meeting here tomorrow, same place, same time, for the Primetime Bulletin. See you tomorrow.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately